Welcome, guys. Welcome to the Legacy of Ours. Uh, Today, as you can see, I'm outside. I am here joined by my good friend Andrew. What's up,
What's
Andrew?
up? What's going on, man? How you doing?
You know. Good, good, good. You know, enjoying the outdoors.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, even though it's like 90 degrees outside.
Yeah, you're Hispanic, so you do have like this, resistance to the heat. I get it, brother. I understand.
No, definitely, definitely. But today we're gonna be talking about accountability of men's mistakes and stuff. Um, I think that's an extremely important topic that we should be discussing. Uh, I've noticed that a lot of people that does make mistakes, they don't really take accountability and they always brush it off and push it towards somebody else. You know, so that way either they feel more superior or they just don't want to, look bad in a way. Um, but before we actually even go into that, we always got to do an icebreaker. So the icebreaker is if you was to live in anywhere in the world or any setting in the world, where would you be?
Um, Honestly, for me, I would stay here, and I'm just talking about generally in America, in the U.S.
Hmm.
I'd stay in the U.S. because
Okay.
I like a lot of guns. I think I would not be in the city. Now I grew up in New York City, so like I lived in the city, but I think I would stay in the U.S. but
Hmm.
just have land, you know,
And
and
just have land.
yeah, and kind
Now,
of
are
do
you gonna be here in St. Louis or?
yeah. I would say. I mean,
Okay.
the gun laws ain't horrible here, so I mean that's why I'm doing it. Now for
Yeah.
now you okay now like what do you think? Like would you be? And I guess I've kind of but they say most guys from the military they like to have like their solitude. I
Yeah.
kind of agree with that, so that's where I would be. But are you more like what do you want to be somewhere tropical or like what do you?
So what I want, my wife won't give me. So and that's exactly right. Whenever you're in the military and stuff, I don't know, you you like gain this frustration of people and stuff.
Mhm.
It gets too overwhelming whenever there's just a crowd.
Yeah,
Um, so for me, yeah, I would definitely want to live uh, in a valley on the mountains and something, or in a
what about
forest, something.
Alaska? Would you go to Alaska?
Hell no, bro. I just came from Alaska, and that's why I'm out here enjoying the fucking weather. So
China got these cicadas though.
no, no,
Yeah.
these little shits are loud.
Well, and they're assholes because you know what? It's like they try to startle you, so you be doing something. They're like, "Hey, motherfucker, what you doing?" And they're like jump up, and they're harmless. Like they don't bite.
Yeah,
They're actually relatively dumb. They fly and they fall often, so it's easy to kill them. But they come in packs and waves and shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, my kids actually have a bearded dragon, so all we do is just grab the cicadas and just feed it to the bearded
uh,
dragon. So
so he's living life right now.
he's getting a lot
This
of
is where he
protein
wants
in.
to be. If we asked him that question, he's like, "No, I'm cool right here. This
I'm cool right here. I got my heat lamp. I'm good. I got my water bowl.
hmm And
Yeah,
with
bro.
gluten free, yeah,
Now, for you being, you say you were from New York, correct?
yeah,
Originally.
yeah.
Now, and St. Louis is somewhat of like a major city, also. So, how do you like living in both areas?
Ah, so here's the thing with the city here. I feel like there's a good chance I would get shot. I think in New York City, like I don't know, I felt different like that. I mean, we grew up in the Bronx and Harlem, and it's
Yep,
just
yep,
a
yep.
city. So like, I think the closest place that I've been to, if I'm going to say, I've been to Chicago,
Hmm.
but I didn't go like I went to I think they call it the million dollar mile. They got all the high designers, um, and I went to a museum, so I didn't really get to experience Chicago, but um, New York, I liked it, and
Hmm.
compared to here though, I think I prefer this because it's so. I don't see why I would drive. I came here and I got a class CDL. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't see me ever doing that there. You know what I mean? Then there's no point for me. I feel like it's just a hassle. Now I know people
Hmm.
that have gotten their license, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to drive. I feel like I'll be too cramped. But I guess if I stayed there, I would know no different. And I would
Right.
think that this life is like, that suburban life or that country life is probably what they thinking is something
Hmm.
that's not for them. That's how my sister is. So
So you're there's no thought of actually going back.
no, absolutely not. And it's crazy right there right now. Plus, again, I like guns. And they don't like guns.
Yeah. No,
I like
definitely.
guns a lot. It's scary
Yeah.
how much I like them. Maddie questions our relationship because of that. So tell
That's
you,
good.
New York ain't gonna they would not welcome me with open arms. So
Yeah. How many guns do you actually own?
well, I don't think she's watching. Um I don't get that many. I have like 11 or 12. So it's not like a whole lot. There's a guy that I know that's got two those Liberty safes, thick,
Hmm.
you could fit like 100 and some odd guns in one, and he can fit 24 in there. He's got like four gun safes. But he's
Jesus.
like, but he's the type of dude that, like, if he thinks it's a deal, he will
Hmm.
buy it. So like he's got just guns, and not very expensive, but he's got a lot of them. He's got more guns than ammo. So yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Golly.
Yeah.
More guns than ammo. How does that make sense though?
I don't know. It don't make sense. But you want variety in a time like that. There's a meme that's like a dude
I
was
feel
like,
like
"Man,
I'll be the opposite. I would want more ammo
dude,"
than
and I,
you
I,
know.
I'm yeah, you need ammo. You need ammo. There's a meme that goes like a guy hears something at night. He goes, "I've been waiting for this moment, for a long time to pick whichever gun I'm going to kill this motherfucker with." Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, I mean, I guess I would like to visit. My sister said New York would eat me alive right now.
Hmm.
I haven't, obviously lived in that, but I guess
Right.
I've been conditioned, man.
Right.
And you know, I can't imagine driving. I drove in Chicago one time and almost hit a guy. Um, he was wearing all black. It's not my fault. I don't
I
even
was gonna
say
say, was it on purpose? Were you playing the game like 15 points?
it. Well, I knew how to get into the gang I was trying to join when I walked in.
Okay, I got
Had to
you.
hit
I
the
got you.
Yeah, dude, I was hitting you, man, and like I'm not used to this one way shit. I'm used to just driving, and now I got to worry about one ways, and it just fucked me up. And especially if you're not there, you got people, they know where they're going,
Hmm.
and you're a tourist, and just how you drive, yeah. So it's like they're pushing you through. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna turn here. She's like, no, you can't go that way. It's a one way. It's like, well,
Yeah.
fuck, I can't go back. Yeah, it's stressful. It's stressful. Yeah.
Golly. All
So
right.
yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. So let's go ahead and get into the topic and stuff because I actually been wanting to talk about this for a while. Now, how do you feel about people actually not taking accountability of their actions?
Uh, I think it's a common thing because if you
Yeah.
think about it, I mean, there's a bit of a growth to that. I mean, you have to be able to accept, like, yeah, I fucked up, I did something wrong, and then essentially you have to tell yourself, like, I'm the bad guy in the situation. And most people had it hard enough as it is growing up or whatever the case may be. So like for them to put blame on themselves, it kind of goes against their experiences where they either felt victimized, for whatever.
Hmm.
So accepting that, I think it's a hard thing because you have to say you was wrong,
Right.
and I don't admit that shit. And nobody
Right.
wants to admit we're wrong because it's like we already have our own self image of the thought of our who we are, and to admit that, yeah, I think that's why people don't take accountability, and then
Yeah.
people don't want the shit that comes with it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah. The
so,
consequences.
um, yeah.
Now, is it you think is it's more the consequences or how people actually view you after the?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, you could taint your image for sure. I mean,
Because I think
if you,
that's like if I not saying I'm not perfect, you know what I'm saying, but like I think I think at least in my head, whenever I do make a mistake, and if I don't actually admit to it, I think it's just because of like how people actually view me. You know,
Yeah,
because you're
yeah,
supposed to be a certain person in the military, and you're supposed to be this like almost perfect person whenever you have stripes on your chest and shit.
mm,
You know,
oh
so.
yeah, yeah. You feel like a part of it's like your credibility is tainted. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Like, oh yeah, he did 99% of shit good, but that 10% kind of fucked him up. So it's like,
Yeah.
it makes a difference. So I get that. Yeah, nobody wants to take their image, and then no one wants consequences that come with it.
Right.
Um, and so because some things if that you have to own up to have huge consequences, and so it's
Right.
better to stay safe and avoid that. So there's it's a risk factor too.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
It is a risk factor. I definitely agree with that. I mean, but then again, like being an adult now, being back as a kid and stuff, like, it seems like you can get away with a lot more shit
Mhm.
just because you're a kid. Because
Yeah.
then, like, you're technically still learning how the world works and everything, no matter what age you are. Anywhere under 15 years old, you're still learning, right?
Hmm.
But I say a person or a kid does start taking accountability at that a younger age and stuff. You believe that he has a better chance of being successful and having more integrity or confidence within the later years than somebody that's,
Yeah, I
you
think.
know.
Yeah, I think he'll most likely go through. So if you look at it this way, when you go through shit, there is supposed to be like life lessons, right? You're supposed to learn
Right.
from them. Part of a life lesson is accepting that lesson, I would say, and taking from it. A lot of
Hmm.
times we do shit, or we kind of, especially when you're young, you get hard headed. We kind of keep going through the same problems because we
Right.
haven't really learned it or accepted it.
Hmm.
If you have a kid who's starting off where he made the mistake, he has the ability to analyze it and take accountability for it. More than likely, he didn't like how he felt, doing that. He didn't like having to even go through just the process of owning up to something. I
Right.
would say more than likely he would make better decisions versus somebody who doesn't take accountability for anything. You
Hmm.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's why like people will have. I would say, I mean, I would compare like repeat offenders going to prison. It's like, yeah, I did that shit, motherfucker, but it's hard out here, and they don't take accountability for it. And when they go back out, now it's like there was no lesson learned. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're not going to take any value from it. But yeah, I think that kid could generally be more successful
Hmm.
because the things that the mistakes that some other kid would make, he probably won't make. And
Right.
it would take him some time to learn it. He may understand it, but when I think it's all repetition, now he's more open to like different ideas, because now it's not like, where he's feeling like he's under attack in a way. Like when it comes to someone may not agree with him, he has that understanding, okay, it's not me, it's someone has a different idea.
Right.
So, I don't know. I think
But
he'll,
doesn't mistakes actually help you grow,
yeah,
help you understand life better? So
I
how
think
would that,
so. I
you
Yeah.
know? So how would that actually help somebody? If somebody is like, oh, I made a mistake, I'll take accountability, especially for a child. Like, is he really growing even though he's saying, yeah, I made a mistake? Is he learning from that mistake?
Well, I think you have different tiers of mistakes.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I think if it falls under the same category, because you could make mistakes, obviously that go against like the commandments in a way of like don't steal, don't do this. There's those mistakes, and then you have, well, I guess they all fall under that, to be honest. But like, is he going to be more? aggressive type of mistakes, you kind of make those mistakes. You have to learn from it because then you're gonna have a long list of maybe prison time, or like
Hmm.
you learn from mistakes. Or oh, I cheated on my girlfriends, and it's like I don't learn from now. I'm gonna probably continue cheating. I think there'll be mistakes in different categories, but I think that people have to continue making mistakes because they may understand it, but they have to go through it so many times to get it.
Right.
I think it has to be a lesson learned from it, or you don't go anywhere. Not that, again, I think that mistakes will happen. I think it's natural. I mean, I would say that we are perfect, but
Hmm.
that you have to take something from it for it to
Right.
make a difference. So I may not understand it, the first time, but I got to go through it maybe a few more times for me to see how big things get, from that.
Yeah.
That's my
No, I mean, I completely agree with that.
thought.
Um, especially with the person that who actually takes the time to try to
Now,
understand.
you could think of this even like, here's an example. I grew up without a dad.
Okay.
A mistake as my dad, like my life would have been probably different if he didn't, walk out in such a young age. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Versus, so there's some mistakes of that, and I had some stuff to kind of get past, even though I didn't really understand them. Um, so you can look at the mistakes of men like on that aspect, and then there's the mistakes of men which tend to go political, of like how the start of this country was. How the
Right.
impact of that can be so big based on what kind of power you have, and then
Hmm.
what social you know the people are, what's socially accepted. So yeah, mistakes of men, I think that's been gone throughout history, and I think like even things that have happened kind of can change history. I think
Right.
Dave Chappelle, one of his specials, he talks about Emmett Till and the woman that told the police that he had whistled at her and that sort of thing that caused him to get killed. That on her deathbed, that she admitted that she lied about it. And Dave Chappelle made a good point. He says, that one lie changed everything, though. It was horrible, the things that happened, but it created a whole movement for people to kind of stand up against that because they
Mm.
seen how bad shit was. So in
Right.
mistakes in life, and I'm spiritual, so like I feel like God can use mistakes and make them good. He can use the evil in things and have a different way of kind of bringing you out of that. And in that story alone, I feel like that's where that would fall under. It's like this is horrible, huge mistake, and these men didn't care, and they had no remorse to it. So there's that mistake, but using that, and now it kind of created, a different like wave, started new
Right.
movements, new clubs and groups, and then it kind of opened up the world to kind of some things. So
Right. Now, do you think some mistakes can be amended, or or
you
is there
gotta.
or is there those certain mistakes where you're just like, you made the mistake, I'm never gonna forgive you for it. You know what
Ooh,
I'm saying? Like
yeah.
like
Uh,
like what you brought up.
mm-hmm.
Some mistakes actually
Ooh,
cause people to get hurt.
yeah,
Uh, some of them sacrifice a lot more.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's tough, and here's why. Like, if I, it would take the growth of the person who was the victim in a way, if you're looking at it that way, if you're talking about even in that situation,
Hmm.
things that can be amended. It takes a lot of like being able to move past certain things
Hmm.
and allowing it not to stop you. Now, there also like there could be a caveat to that. It was like, well, this is a lesson for wisdom. Like I'm not going to allow this to happen, or I'm not going to allow to take that, and be that victim again, or I'm not going to work with this guy again because I got screwed on whatever, but he may have a good idea of a business. So I mean, I think it takes. Ooh, that's tough.
It's tough, right?
That's tough.
So
That's
yeah, I was thinking about it, and I was basing it off of like, um, people here out having road rage and stuff.
oh, speaking of
Because
that.
I forgot that how crazy St. Louis drivers could be,
Oh,
and
oh.
and being in Alaska and stuff for 3 years or
Yeah,
whatever.
all was like dogs in the snow and shit, right? Like they're in sled.
Yeah, so I had my 12 dogs and stuff, and the only road rage we will have is whenever the dogs fight the other dogs.
Right.
But
Or they start having sex. Either way,
either way, it's road rage, all right?
husky. What the fuck?
But no, but then like I forgot how fast this city is,
Really? Oh well, yeah, yeah.
you know?
That.
And then I'm thinking like, all right, this dude's literally yelling at me because I'm not driving. I'm driving the speed limit, but I'm not driving past the speed limit.
Speaking of that, there was a dude. Was it a few days ago? Um, I mean, we're in St. Louis, so there's Highway 70. Um, a dude was shot on road rage, and Maddie actually worked with the wife of that dude that got shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, like I guess they got into it, or maybe he got cut off or whatever, and the other driver sent shots into his car.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but this is over by West Florissant, so it's. And I know you've been out the game for a minute, so you don't. Um,
I mean,
yeah,
are you really out?
when you're in, you're in, motherfucker.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
that's
I
the thing.
mean,
Like, what? So was I making the mistake of doing the speed limit, even though I know how fast people drive, and it's a normal thing that everybody here drives past the speed limit at least five over.
yeah, I used to be better at that.
You know?
I used to be better at that. I feel like I changed a little bit because I've been in enough car accidents where like I'm on the straight and narrow. You know what I mean? I don't. It ain't even worth it. But here lately, I feel like yeah, I've been kind of like that. But I don't give a shit that much. Like a lot of people care. A lot of people
Hmm.
care because I feel like when you drive, it's a sign of disrespect. If you feel like, oh, this motherfucking cut me off. All right, hold on. You know, I got that thing on you. You know what I'm saying? And so,
Yeah.
um, yeah, people, it's an ego thing. Like, yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, is it an ego thing or is it just like
maybe they need therapy. I don't know, motherfucker.
I,
There's
bro?
something
Everybody
wrong.
here needs therapy, bro. Like I said, man, I forgot how crazy St. Louis is. Like me and my wife were literally just driving uh around downtown and stuff.
Why would you be there?
Why not?
I guess
You know what I'm saying? I gotta let everybody know I'm back. You know.
that's true. That's true.
But I was driving down, enjoy the views and stuff, and bro, I can't even get over and stuff. I gotta speed up and cut somebody
Yeah,
off just so I
driving in the
can.
city again. I'm not a city driver, and you know what used to suck. So I used to work for a vault company. It's a burial vault company. It's literally like the title. It's burial vault. So your casket goes into this auto container, and it's made of concrete. So I used to
Right,
work for
right.
the vault company. Just for the viewers to know. For those that don't know, yeah, I used to have to traffic and get through the city, and I hated it. I fucking hated it because you could never get nowhere. And then it's like I'm a big ass truck, and people don't give a fuck about me. I'm just there, and I'm trying to get to. And I yeah, so I pass on the city. You
Hey,
know,
you usually have like one or two volts in the back of
yeah,
your truck, right?
yep. And like
Yeah.
I don't even let motherfucker over. I say do in the truck, I'm not letting them over. So why would
So you're part of the problem.
I'm part of the problem? I deserve this. See, I'm owning up. See, I'm learning.
You're learning. You're realizing the problem and you're learning from it. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So how
But
do you
yeah,
feel like with the city life? I mean, like, or not city life, but just being back. I mean, I know
just
Alaska's slow, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like I've been to Tennessee, Kentucky, Colorado, and Alaska, right? But
yeah,
St. Louis is the fastest. Like it is a
yeah.
fast life. Yeah, it is a fast life. And I mean, Tennessee and Kentucky, of course, like it's more of a country living and stuff, which I didn't mind at all. You know, it was
Wow, it's
nice,
crazy you
slow.
say that.
And,
That's
and that was my first duty station. And this is funny because me and my wife, obviously, we're from St. Louis and everything.
mhm,
Um, I just got out of basic training and everything. We're going to the 101st.
yeah.
And my wife and I, we get our house and everything. And we go explore, with the,
Mhm.
the kids and everything. And we get out in the parking, and just in the parking lot of a mall and stuff, everybody's waving at us, saying hi, and you know how St. Louis people are
Yeah.
everybody minds their business. If you bump into them, it's almost a fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You
Like
know,
nobody's waving at each other. It's just
yeah, it's
and,
like,
and
hey, so you go,
everybody in
what's
Kentucky
up?
is just nice. Everybody, oh hey, how's it going? Oh, excuse me, or you go first. They're holding the door for me. I'm
They're
like,
like, hey, hey, you need $20? Here you
yeah,
go.
I'm like, what?
No, we're
Who
friends
are
now.
you? Yeah, and I mean same thing. I mean same thing for Colorado. It had that uh that in between of
Hmm,
what a city life is, and then
right.
what the country life is.
You know, when I
Yeah.
first moved here, so from New York. So like my only idea of any other state, of ever being in any other state, was like as a kid growing up, was shit from the Disney Channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all
Yeah.
I knew was the city, and I pretty much grew up in Harlem, but I lived in the Bronx, like I said, and surrounded by Hispanics and Black folk. Like that's all I knew. And when
Hmm.
I first moved to St. Louis, we came and we moved to De Pere, which is relatively
Mm.
scale. You know, it's right by
Yeah.
West County, so that's generally it was upscale. I didn't know no different. I felt like that's just what white people lived with. You know what I mean? It's like I had no idea. Now, let me say this though. I had experiences in certain places. So I went to one of the top tennis clubs in New York City. My sister did ballet. So
Hmm.
I was around like upscale people, or like let's say white people. I was around them but never living among them. So it was like a new shock. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I thought it was the whitest thing that Disney Channel could ever produce. Like that's what I thought. Like I that's all I knew, man. And so I felt that way. And my mom, I remember she was like, "Oh, everyone's nice." And I said, "Yeah." And
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you come back and you like it's not that way. They're like, mean. And so yeah, but I think things have changed completely. I think
Yeah.
things change.
It
But
definitely has. It
mhm.
definitely has. That is crazy.
It's the first time I seen a gay dude was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yep, in high
Mm,
school. It was the first time I seen one. And I said, "What is going on?" He was wearing a
I would.
dress.
I was. I gotta agree with you with that because coming from California, from Los Angeles to St. Louis,
Yeah.
the first time I saw a gay dude, I mean, he wasn't in no dress. I don't know where the fuck you were, but
I'm not gonna put that place on the high school, but yeah.
yeah, well, I was in high school and the first gay dude played on the same soccer team as me, and I was just like, I thought he was joking at first.
Oh, yeah. That was my first experience. Whew,
Fucking St. Louis, dude, is so diverse.
yeah. And I was in New York, dude, but at that time things weren't popping like that. At least I didn't know I was a kid. What the fuck do I know?
Right, right.
But yeah, yeah.
It's
I
crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy. All right,
So
so let's get back into the topic because I know you like to vent off and everything, but all right. So obviously, whenever we're making mistakes and stuff, there's like 6 ways to actually take account and learn from your mistake, right?
mhm.
And kind of going back to the question, like, can all mistakes be forgiven? But then within these six ways of actually evolving around your mistakes, like the fifth the fifth line is amend your mistake, correct it. So then and that's why I asked you, like can you amend all mistakes? And then you gotta look at the people in prison and everything that actually made mistakes,
Yeah.
and then you got your repeat offenders. Like,
Yeah.
are they forgiven? Because on the record they're not.
Yeah, no, like I see that shit, I'm gonna judge you completely. Are you good now? I don't know, nigga. You killed like five. No, I can't say that. I'll bleep that out. You killed five motherfuckers like a month ago. Like,
You know what I'm saying? Like, can those mistakes be forgiven? And are they even considered mistakes? Like, what could we possibly call them?
yeah.
So, and like I said, I really wanted to talk about this topic because it's something that even the widest lie can change somebody's life.
Yeah, big time.
You know,
Big time.
sometimes people just don't realize it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's true. I think the only thing like but whew, yeah. Everybody it's like a resume. It's like you kind of like your mistakes. It's like everyone reads that shit off,
Hmm.
and then it's hard at the end. And it's like, I trust you, or I do that. That I think that would take. Ooh, that's a stumper right there. You got a good one.
Yeah, man. I've been thinking about it, writing it down. But yeah, and like I said, I've been reading these lines and stuff. Like the first one is acknowledge the mistake, right?
Mhm.
So obviously you just got to
Now,
recognize what you did.
okay, so this is the person who made the mistake. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So this is the person. I made the mistake. So I'm acknowledging the mistake. I kicked a dog or whatever.
Yeah.
I told a white lie. And then the second one is to identify the cause. So
Like
try to
why?
understand why the
I.
mistake was occurred.
Mm,
Right.
okay. Yeah.
So, but if you made the mistake, like how, what's the, like, what could you do to identify the cause?
Well, I guess that's an internal search, yeah, and then also that's got to be like what led up to it. So, like for example, you kicked this dog and you kicked him bad. Like the dude had all broken ribs and shit, and this motherfucker couldn't
Hmm.
even walk again. And you kicked him fucking bad. Like they should have
I
put
mean,
this motherfucker down. That's how bad you kicked him. Like I don't even know why we would bring you back. Like this is better for you. So you kick this dog, right? For whatever reason. And I think it goes back to like, what happened during the day. Like, did you have like if you're a kid or whatever, did you have a rough day at school? Is everything in the house cool? Like is your parents fighting? Or like are
mhm.
you getting bullied or something? Like, or do you feel bad about yourself so you feel like you have to inflict pain on somebody else to feel like you're in control of something?
Right.
I think it all goes back psychologically of what triggered that. And then obviously for like someone who like yourself that likes to kick animals, like
It's
if
hypothetical. Hypothetical.
you notice you don't see no birds behind him. This motherfucker is cutting them up.
I was grabbing them and throwing them.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I caught them.
But like, yeah, I mean, like I feel like if you now associate that like you kicking an animal like relieved something, you're gonna go back to it. You know what I mean? Like it's something that
Right.
now that you used to, and then every time you do something over and over, it becomes a habit, and then now habits are hard to break, and now you're beating on people. And now it's gotten worse. You're going for
Right.
like bigger animal, bigger game. It's not just a dog. So
Right. And I'm going for moose now.
moose, Clydesdale horses, shit like that. But I think you'll get your
Right.
ass whooped. The motherfuckers will whip your ass.
Golly. But
But yeah,
okay, yeah,
you,
I agree. I agree. So identifying the cause, but for me, like like to make a mistake, there's a lot of a lot of factors that go into it, right? Especially to identify it.
Yeah.
It like the misinformation. Was there miscommunication? If we're gonna go back to kicking a dog and stuff, like was the dog attacking me? Did I feel threatened?
I don't know.
Um,
You got to add that into context.
I felt threatened. Like I don't care how small the dog was. That
Oh, yeah,
Chihuahua was fierce.
yeah. Maybe your cousin kept getting bit by dogs and shit.
Mm,
You had
I
this
see.
like this thing, this fear of like, oh shit, this he's out loose and
Yeah,
whatnot. And then yeah,
yeah.
circumstances make a difference.
It does. It does. It does.
And that's why, okay, here's for example, like would my life have been different if my dad would have stuck around?
Mm,
Would I focus, would he would have been there and taught me more? So my dad was a master electrician. He worked at an electrician company. He's from Peru. He came to New York and whatnot, and he kind of became something. And so
hmm.
one biggest gripe my mother used to say was like she wish he would have taught me something. I
Right.
remember
Right.
when I used to see him, he would be teaching classes to all these other Hispanic men and everything, trying to learn to be an electrician and get a job
Hmm.
and make a living. So like he was knowledgeable enough. And so yeah, well, my life had been different. What I have learned, that what I have taken that and maybe had a business that come from it, you
Hmm.
know, and then but or maybe the fact that he was in my life, maybe he was more abusive than I knew. Like I was still in diapers, and I was kind of in and out. He was in and out of my life around probably 13. He ended up moving, but yeah, maybe throughout the years, like my life would have been hard. Maybe he was abusive. Maybe he did other things or whatnot. So like you can kind of look at them, but maybe this was the best thing for me. And maybe the route that my life did go was made to be that way. Maybe it was a huge mistake, but that mistake should be forgiven because now it's made me to be this person that is,
Hmm.
you know, goes way past and, you know, what I would have been doing.
Right.
So, and that's where, like, if the person makes a mistake and they make a change and they see the change, then they don't make that change. Then they take that change and they do better. They make better choices.
Right.
So maybe you don't trust them for a long while, but then now they start making better choices. Good, and you see that, you recognize it, and then you start to maybe they start feeling like they can forgive themselves, and then now other people can forgive them, and then right when you trust them, they fuck you over again. And they're back to the same old shit, and this is a revolving door.
And now it's your mistake because you trusted them.
So you dumb motherfucker, you see my record. They warned
No,
you, motherfucker.
the signs were there.
That's fucked up, dude. That's why you can't forgive a motherfucker.
You can't.
You can't. Don't forgive nobody. God damn it. I'm joking. I'm
All
joking.
right, all right. So for the next line, obviously after we identify the cause, you got to learn from it. You got to learn from the mistake. What you could have done differently.
Yeah.
Now I ask you, when you do get to this portion of uh, you know being accountable for the mistake that you've done,
Mhm.
how would you learn from it? How could you possibly say, okay, maybe this wasn't the right way to do it, and
Mhm.
next time I'll walk away or whatever, or like how could that possibly happen?
Um, if I had, I mean, I guess you judge it based on how hard your life is from the start of it to the end of it.
Hmm.
For example, and then, it's funny because these mistakes seem to work well with like physical abuse or like really big. You know what I mean?
Why are you laughing?
I'm just saying, it just goes really well with the beating on a motherfucker. Like if I beat on somebody, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I beat. Maybe the first time you beat on a motherfucker, like nothing happens, and then it just leads to worse. But then you keep doing it. Now it goes into like now it's causing you like legal woes, which when legal woes means that you're paying. somebody, to just deal with your ass. So it's gonna
Right.
cost you money. Okay, then it costs you money, so now you're more broke, and if you don't pay now, they're looking for you. They're gonna hunt you down.
Hmm.
Okay, so you scrounge up the money, then now you paid all this shit off. Now you got to be good, and now you kind of have to learn from your mistakes, and you got to look. Okay, yeah, I would have been X amount of dollars richer, or like I could have avoided this altogether. Now I can't go out and buy 12 guns like Drew can. Like now that's restricted me on different things like that. Now no one, so some people may not hire me now. I mean, and that's just a huge example. But here's another example. Let's go a little bit lighter than that. Like, okay, I like to go and, use my friends. And I'm going to use them because I'm going to use them for what they can give me as far as like we go out. I know they're going to pay for me. I'm going to kind of push it on them. Or like I'm always going to ask them for something. I'm not going to be the person that's always going to give like they give. So now
Hmm.
it's like you start making the mistakes and it's like, oh shit, I'm losing a lot of fucking friends. Who's going to pay for this meal? Shit like that. And it's like, um, I think then you have to realize like I'm kind of lonely. Like I don't have anybody here. And every time I get close to somebody, they always do the same old shit. And then it's like, then there's accountability thing. It's like,
Hmm.
am I the problem? Could this possibly be me, or is it other people? And at first, we don't like to own up to it. So you may lie to yourself for a while, and you may
Hmm.
say because it's comfortable. And again, nobody wants to feel like shit, especially
Right.
no one wants to tell themselves because we all have this feeling about ourselves, and we can't deny that because we have these intrusive thoughts about how we suck or we could have done better. So for you
Hmm.
to openly admit that, yeah, you know what, in my head, these thoughts are right about myself.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, now I have no friends. I'm alone. So it's like those you can see how the difference your life could be.
Right.
But I also think it's like a dark slope. It's like now it's like fuck it. I don't want no friends. I'd rather be alone. I'd rather just have that. And you become angry. So some mistakes that just takes a little bit of ownership could make your life better because it's like you say, even if it's like, hey y'all, I fucked up. I know I've been stealing from y'all pretty much. And I want you guys to be my friend and I'm gonna work on it.
But you
I
gonna
didn't
pay him back?
oh I didn't say that. Pay you back. You know what? Fuck this relationship. No, no, no.
You know,
There's
fuck
a
it.
person at the
I tr-
laundromat.
I try to be your friend, but
Like, you know what? Now that I think about it, you guys do suck, and y'all don't really give me enough shit.
that cash that I stole from your wallet wasn't enough.
This Dior? Fuck that. I don't want that shit. Yeah.
All right, so okay, so we learn from it. All right, so we get to a point where we learn from it, and now we gotta take responsibility. And it's crazy how like this is going in order, right? So we go from acknowledging the mistake to identifying the cause to learn from it, and now we're taking responsibility.
Mhm.
What do we? I mean, taking ownership of it after you learn from it, isn't that like goes hand in hand? Because
Yeah.
the deed's done. The deed's done. It you can't go back from it. Whether somebody's life was affected from it or not. Again, like, could a mistake be forgiven? To me, at least, not all mistakes can be forgiven.
Ooh. Yeah. I
You
think.
know, and then I don't know. At least in
Well,
my eyes,
I guess
well,
are we talking? Are we talking internally, or are we talking about the person who was wronged? Because there's always the person being wronged, right?
right.
Some way,
Well,
or institution or government if you're stealing from a motherfucker. Like obviously, if you're talking about a big picture like that, they ain't gonna forgive you. They want the money, and they're gonna pay more money to fuck you over. But if we're talking individually, like people, and I think that's obviously where that is. Um, you think it's an internal forgiveness more so than someone who was wrong as like a forgiveness or ownership. Like
right.
is being forgiven is because
Yeah.
I think like if the other person they may not. I guess yes, that can go. I can agree in a way. I
Hmm.
think there has to be an internal forgiveness somewhat so they can move past it. And that's where I talked about the wisdom thing. I think it may give you like wisdom.
Hmm.
Yeah, ultimately, as far as
But it only gives you wisdom towards that mistake.
yeah,
It doesn't give you like this entire book of wisdom. Like it doesn't open your eyes. It
well,
only gives
even
you a path of what you've done. So you're only limited to advise somebody on that path.
yeah, and now again, as far as the person who was harmed, yeah, I think that depending on what it is, and man, that's a good one because I'm trying to rationalize that. Now, like
Right.
in internal, I think that's. I guess I can go both ways. Either it's like you forgive yourself for it.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, sometimes we don't because we're our biggest like critics,
Right.
and so like that I can see like you were it would take steps what could be done for
Hmm.
yourself. I think it's easier internally as a person who's doing the wrongdoing because you may say I'm going to change and I want to live a better life and get out of that, which is
Hmm.
a high possibility for people. So you kind of have to go to that forgiveness internally. Now, for the person
Internally, yes.
doing wrong, yeah, I think some things probably won't, but there would have to be an acceptance, which I guess is different, but they would have to have an acceptance for them to move on from that. And then, yeah,
Right.
they never forgive. And for some things, it's like, yeah. And then it also is, I think, forgiveness comes with either remorse from the other party, I feel. So, like, if I hurt you or I hurt someone you loved and now you don't trust me and it was a huge mistake, you
Hmm.
know, like, if I then don't show, and this is a legal term too, like this, I think this goes like if someone who's prosecuted, if there's no remorse, there's going to be either added jail time, um, or something like that, or they should seek jail time. And don't quote me completely on that. Um, but yeah, like if I did something wrong and it comes to where like we're either face to face or if it gets more like documented where it goes into like something serious than just something happening between two individuals. But let's say there is a point where like you address somebody, you say, hey, like that was fucked up, like what you did, or that was messed up, and there's no remorse to it, that
Hmm.
completely will change things. Like I say, like I don't even care, or like they victimize themselves. That will put it to where like people are like, you know what, like they separate, and there is like you are who you are. I'm not going to forgive you. You're not going to change because you clearly showed me, even though I brought this to your attention and you knew it was wrong, and I can explain it. It's black and white. There's nothing right about it, and you still choose to say whatever, or like don't be this, don't be that. You're being dramatic, emotional about it. It's not that big of a deal. That
Hmm.
accountability can make things where you're not forgivable. So I think when you take accountability, I think that starts to lead to a better way of people, forgiving you. But like I've seen cases where people in court, again, for some reason, this shit works with like abuse. Like I've seen people who have done something to somebody else, and their loved ones are there, and they like smirk, or they're laughing, or they're like okay
Hmm.
with it. That would be something that they would never forgive you because you don't even have any empathy at all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, but yeah, some things aren't forgivable. Like if you're talking like, um, if someone screws you over financially, again,
Hmm.
shows no remorse and they can't like make amends with that at least some way.
Hmm.
That is going to be something that will make it hard for somebody to forgive. Obviously, if you get cheated on, that's a huge one. Like
That
love
is.
in the heart, you fucked it over. Especially with everyone says women, but men, it happens to men, and yet men tend to be resilient, but they feel just as hard. But for women, it's very common. Having someone that cheat on you constantly. And it's the same person. And you're trying to work shit out. That
Hmm.
would put a strict like I'll never forgive you because
Hmm.
I've been vulnerable, and now I've been kind of ran through the mud multiple times, and that mistake will go for forever because that shit goes on to the next relationship, to the next relationship, and then it changes the motherfucker. So she is now, maybe she's been cheated on, and she's in another relationship, and it don't work out. Another, it don't work out, and now the problem may be her because now maybe she's always thinking that this other person's cheating. And it's like, no, I'm not doing anything. And now it puts strain on that relationship and it falls apart. And then she would look back at that person that first cheated on her and say, I'll never forgive you because you ruined every relationship in my life, because what you did to me. That shit goes deep.
Right. It does.
That shit
That was
goes
a spider
deep.
web.
Yeah. That's
That
that's
was
that's deeper than the roots. And yeah.
that that was. All right, so now we're on line five, right? Making amends. Um, we've already hit on it and everything. But to me, again, like you just said, speaking about the relationships and stuff, like you can't just forgive people, right? Like, what does it take for somebody to forgive? Like, could you possibly be? Because could you possibly be like, um, what's the word am I looking for? Uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, how could you forgive somebody that changed your life? Like I've seen in the courtroom and stuff. Like, there's been videos of people like uh, forgiving the murderer of of that person that they took away from them, and forgiving them.
Yeah.
Like how could that possibly like?
Maybe, yeah, well, maybe they have to have. So there's like this, is it AA? Um, when you go alcoholism and shit.
Yeah, and Alcohol Anonymous.
Yeah, I think so. And just to tell you, just to be straight with you, I got this shit off Seinfeld because it's fucking hilarious. It's one of the best TV shows in my opinion. Anyway, so one episode, George and Jerry, or there was, well, they had this interaction with this dude. This dude was an alcoholic and he was in
Hmm.
AA, and he had to go, and one of the steps is making amends with people. So he went around and he told Jerry, he was like, hey, I'm sorry for doing this to you, and it was something really minimal, and Jerry was like, okay, cool, I forgive you, you can move on. And George was like, um how come he didn't apologize to me? Because he said that I put on this sweater and my head is so fucking big that it stretched out the neck hole. And so, like, as far as like going through like those steps,
Hmm.
like it's kind of like that, isn't it? Like maybe they had to, in order for them to move past this, to hit a milestone in their life, like they had to forgive, and they
Right.
know that it was internally eating them up, that all they thought was this situation and this was their life where they couldn't enjoy regular shit, like, and so they had to kind of forgive, and that's their closure. I think we all kind of go through shit that's not closed up. We got open doors, you know,
Hmm.
in a lot of shit. And until we start to close them, then you can maybe get to a different place. You know,
Okay, so let me ask you that: could you forgive somebody that altered your life?
I had to kind of forgive my dad, I think. I had to kind of like, feel like,
But did you forgive him?
I think so. Like I don't hold any like gripe against him by any means. Like I
Hmm.
know he's out there. Like I know my sister speaks to him, and it's
Hmm.
not, and I guess this is the same thing. Like though I don't reach out to him and talk to him, I don't think it would bother me.
Hmm.
But it's like I kind of have the wisdom for it, and I forgive him. But maybe I don't make the extra step. Maybe I may not put myself out there, and I'm a grown man, I have kids. So it's like something I've lived with for so long that it's like it's not a detriment to have him in my life. Like I
Right.
need to have him in my life. So it's not, so if I reached out to him, I don't feel like I would ever be hurt, by him, by his presence. But I feel like I forgive him. I think it, even the fact that I'm doing this, I don't think I'd be doing this because, like, I think with him not being in the picture in a way, I had a lot of insecurities. So there's no way I'd be on camera or even talking to you on a stream. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, so I think that like there had to been some kind of growth and acceptance to that. But yeah, I have no hard feelings for him, you know.
Okay, but
And
he never officially apologized to you.
no, no,
Okay.
no,
So, but if he did, you feel like you could forgive him?
no. I'm punching that motherfucker in the teeth. I'm like, hey, I need cash child support. Oh, I can't say that. My bad, Dave. We're gonna get canceled. No,
But
like,
that's the thing, and that's the thing. So I asked you this question because whenever uh, like somebody apologizes to me, like apologies are thrown so much. Like I don't think I've
it's
ever
authentic.
seen yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a genuine apology.
Really? Never?
At least to me, at least to me. And maybe
Like,
like people do actually like genuinely apologize and
you know
stuff and
what?
like
Wait,
actually
that's a good. Yeah, I've apologized to you, motherfucker.
no, I don't think you have.
Yes, I
And
have.
I'm still waiting for that apology. I mean you can
Apologize.
go ahead and do it now if you like
Listen
to.
to
I
this
mean
motherfucker. No, no,
but
because
that's the thing. But that's the thing.
yeah,
Like
I don't think I have had anyone apologize to me ever.
right. Like I've talked to people and we've settled our differences and I've moved past it.
Yeah,
But an apology, like, oh, I am extremely sorry.
right, right,
You know what I'm saying? Like, are you just
yeah,
saying this so we can go past this?
right, right. Do you really mean it, or do you want to shut me up?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I have had either, to be honest with you. And so, like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Nobody, like, okay, are we talking about like experiences with like men, like general, like obviously you, like, are you talking like work or just like friendships or like family or like interactions on a, like with normal people that you may run into?
I think I'm just talking about generally, just all
Okay.
around. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, like we've had our differences and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, and and we talked about it,
Yeah.
and we're still we're still like talking. We're still interacting. We've moved
Mhm.
past it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, I'm still waiting for my apology, but I'm I'm
I'm a
waiting
big,
for I'm waiting for the flowers and teddy bears at the door. You know?
I thought you was a chocolate person, motherfucker. This shit.
Oh,
Sorry.
I've changed. See, obviously you don't know me, so no. But that's what I mean. And like jokes all
Yeah.
aside and everything.
Yeah.
Like I've never. I don't know. Like, is it just me that doesn't trust the apology, so I don't see the
Yeah.
actual.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying?
You've been wrong so many times.
I think that's what it is.
You've been wrong so many times, and now
I want
every
other people to feel my what I've been through.
that's why you kicked the dog, motherfucker. Now we're getting somewhere. This motherfucker's in the cast, and he may make a recovery. He may die
He
tomorrow.
may make it.
Who
I made
knows?
sure he didn't though.
But yeah, but yeah, it could be like um, you don't trust that people are empathetic, you know,
Yeah.
and that may make you a little empathetic too, because they say like you take shit from some things. It's like your environment. Here's an
Hmm.
example. Uh, like if you in a hood and all you know is the shit in the hood and you go somewhere else, you think like the hood is all you know, so it's hard to see a different, but you adapt to it. So a kid feels like this is my life, I gotta make it, so they adapt to like the way of life in that sort. So anything outside of that is just strained. So now like you've had people probably in your life that you feel like either haven't owned up to it, have just moved on from it. Either yeah, you have talked, but people like again they tend to avoid. They just want to get the emotional shit off the table, like
Hmm.
whether it's anger. It's like, all right, man, and then they try to make peace in that way, but there's no like real deep ownership. You may have had a lot of that. So now it's like anytime you even just talk to somebody, it ain't closing your doors.
Mhm.
The doors are still open, or at least they're cracked. Y'all have made it past it, but the door is still cracked. It hasn't been fully shut.
Mhm.
You gotta lock that shit because if you don't lock it, then that means it's always open for like maybe use it as ammunition when you're in a fight. Well, motherfucker, you did this to me. Remember that? You never did this, So it's like you gotta like forgive that motherfucker, and then you have to close the door and then lock it and throw the key away. And I think that's where growth is, and maybe that's what a person that goes and forgives someone who did some heinous crime to a loved one, and
Mhm.
they want to just close that door and lock it and fully just get rid of it because it always comes back. And I
Right. Right.
think our minds are so um, we get so invaded by these thoughts and shit, and that there's
Mhm.
that perception that you may have. So maybe, yeah, maybe you have this thing where you don't trust even conversations, or like even if it is an apology, it's like you don't really mean it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I look deep into myself then.
Yeah, I got this therapist I'll give you. Um, and it's me, motherfucker. I charge $200 an hour. I pay the payment right now and a copay.
Cash.
No, no, yeah, cash, because they ain't gonna tax
Cash.
me for that shit. Fuck no.
All right. So the last step,
Yeah,
and I'm sure you know what the last step is. Also, is moving forward.
yeah,
So after you've done all 6 steps, you've realized what you've done, you learned from it, you amended it, you hope that whatever effects that you've caused is hopefully reversible,
mhm,
and now you're moving forward from it.
yeah.
But I don't think you could move forward from all mistakes, you know,
Individually,
individually. Yeah.
true.
It's always gonna be in the back of your head, no matter whether you was actually, um,
Hmm. Oh yeah,
even if you actually gave a genuine apology and stuff, and it did come from the heart, and you were forgiven and stuff. I don't think you could ever just come back from that.
uh again, I'm spiritual, and
Right.
so this is where we are probably gonna disagree
Okay.
internally.
I already disagree.
Yeah. I know. So like I feel like you could if you wanted to
Hmm.
in so many ways. I think it would take like in my opinion, some faith and acceptance. And we talked about that um, leading up to this. I think you could if you feel there's more to life than where you're at right now.
Okay, so let me ask you something. What do you
Yeah.
mean by faith? If you had faith.
I'm glad we're talking about faith because I was actually writing a script for this podcast, and I talked to you
Hmm.
about that. And the first episode was going to be about faith. And faith,
Okay.
I feel like faith comes with it coexists with fear, and then fear comes with anxiety. And this is my opinion. And then anxiety comes depression.
Hmm.
I think faith is a better. It's like a hope in a positive outcome, though it
Hmm.
may not be visible. I think that faith requires a bit of hope in that through something that you can't see that there is a better life out there. And so if we go kind of back, if you feel like you see more to your life, or maybe you are just so miserable and you're not willing to kill yourself, and it's very hard if you're not willing to do that and you want to live this life and you just you see something where you're tired of just kind of sitting in this depression and funk, I think that kind of gives you something that gives you some incentive to move past it.
Hmm.
And because you like, I want to be happy like this dude, or like I want maybe I'm alone and I'm still harboring on shit. And maybe I want to clean myself up and find somebody and have a family and do this other shit, you know. Um, and so like you may forgive yourself. Some people tend to just still do that shit while being fucked up. And then now they start that cycle again. It's like a poison or
Right.
what they
Yeah.
call a generational curse, because now that shit is going to kind of start tying into your children. But we're not going to
Hmm.
get that far. We're just talking about like somebody who is rational and then wants to maybe start a relationship but can't because they know they'll tear that relationship down because they hate themselves internally, which will
Hmm.
then affect the relationship.
Right.
Um, so I think, yeah, I think wherever you're at, you would want to see something positive, then even though it seems all dark. That's where
Hmm.
I think that somebody could forgive themselves, like to just see a different way of living. Like,
Hmm.
but that, and to me that takes faith, and that takes like maybe a relationship with God. Well, I would say that as a Christian, but like I think that spiritual connection may help, which with that connection, now I'm not super social, but I am, but I'm not. Like I'll do them if it's like not required, but like I don't mind doing them, but I'm not gonna be out super social.
Right.
Like
Right.
as far as and what I'm trying to say is like if you believe in God, like connecting with like a church, and now you're socially with the church,
Hmm.
um, bring other positive people could probably help you out of that situation. So there could be other things, but I think that's where the faith comes in. Is like you have to at first want it. The Bible says, and I'm not going to go super details because I don't really know the quite details. There was a guy who was sinning, and Jesus was like, he says, "I will heal you, but you have to want to be healed." So like you may be pissed off at this person, but you're gonna want to like you're gonna have to want to not be pissed off anymore. Like
Hmm.
either you're gonna use this anger as fuel to kind of make it through your days, or you're gonna finally let that fear go. And so like you have to kind of want it, I feel like,
Hmm.
in order to move past it and to accept certain things, like or whatever the case may be. So that's kind of my opinion. And I kind of
Right.
run around it, but that's that. So I
Okay.
think
So
it,
I'm glad that you brought up faith because on social media and stuff, a lot of people they there's a lot of people that have faith also, right, into God,
yeah.
or whatever they you believe in,
Right.
um, whatever the viewers believe in and stuff, and they always say, um, don't worry, God would help you through this, or put your faith into God and stuff.
Mhm.
So and me, I'm not gonna say I'm not a believer, but I just believe in a different spiritual way. Like
What do you believe in?
I'm agnostic. So I believe
Oh,
that everybody has a guardian angel,
okay.
right?
Okay.
So so to sum it up, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
we can get deeper into it, but
Yeah. Okay.
I don't. All right, but all right. So that being said,
So you're a
when
Christian.
no, so I was raised to be Catholic.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
baptized. Yeah, I was
You know,
baptized and
I
everything.
was thinking about that. Well, you know what that remind? So like, and I don't mean can I do it tie off, or like you have to kind of check me because I tend to tie off.
You do. It's just, I just.
Okay, back to faith. Back to faith. This is time for something else. All right, back to faith.
All right. So, back to faith. So I see a lot of people always trying to basically. I don't know if necessarily they're just like giving up, but they put their entire faith on whatever's happening
Yeah.
onto their spiritual, um, whoever they believe in.
Mhm.
So, but to me, whenever I'm thinking about it, I feel like God or Allah or whoever you believe in, they give you tools to go through life, and not necessarily to give you to basically like stop believing in yourself and just say, "Hell, just let me do everything so that way I can grant you or gift you whatever you think you
Oh,
want. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I get what you're kind of saying. So it's like I think that depends on the believer, to be honest, because like yeah, you have this thing where like their God is a genie. Is that what you're kind of
Hmm.
getting at?
Yeah,
Like,
like, and it's like especially like when somebody gets a new job or a promotion and stuff, and they
sure,
say God is good.
yeah.
So
Well, I think okay. So my take on that, as far as like faith, okay, I feel like God gives us our talents. Like you're
right,
talented in your own ways, and I'm talented in my own ways. And
sort of.
using the yo, I can fucking juggle like a motherfucker, dude. I'm about to take that to Circus Soleil. Okay, you laughing, motherfucker? I'll get you tickets. Um, that like we get certain gifts, and like we're supposed to use them.
Right.
And in Christian faith, and even in Jewish, so a lot of the Jewish faith ties, which Christians kind of ties to the Jewish, they inherit from the Jewish belief. If you believe Jesus, Jesus was Jewish and that sort of thing. So, but like Christianity ties back to the Judaism. But anyway, like they say in the Bible, and again, I'm not the best, but I can kind of give what I know. So, like, if you don't use your talents, it's a waste of talent.
Hmm.
Okay. So like we have different talents, and yeah, like so maybe like our talents is maybe good in like our job. And so
Hmm.
it comes with because I did what I did, the talent that I had, God gifted this to me because I trusted in the talent that He gave me. Whether that's a good leader, maybe I communicate, maybe I'm personable, maybe I make people, people really trust me. I always tell the truth. I kind of follow whatever, and that's probably why they say that. Like God gave this to me. Now I think people just say just to say it. Yeah, I believe like people believe God is just a genie, and I think that's where we get a lot of people that fall off. Is because they
Hmm.
believe it that way, and so it's like if they're not getting anything good to in their lives, then it's like he's not there. And
Right.
so I think it's the believer as well.
Right. Because
So
always, I don't know. Like for me, like whenever you accomplish something, and then I see that, oh, God is good and everything, it's like you're not giving yourself enough credit because I believe God or whatever higher spirit that you believe in is only giving you tools for you to succeed, and like you
yeah,
said, the talents to succeed in. And he's not really giving you anything. He's just, hey, this is what you have. Use it. These are your tools.
yeah, but he gave it to you. That's where it is. Technically,
So,
he lies in every detail. So
right.
he is your talent because it's like so that's where that comes in at. So
Okay.
that's what we would debate on. So like,
Okay.
that's why people say that. But I feel like people don't use. I think yeah, people do rely too much on situational stuff
Hmm.
um, for that. But
Especially when
also,
people like buy cars and stuff, and they're like, "Oh,
God is good.
God
Even though
is
I stole
good,
this motherfucker, I
bruh."
I robbed my
I'm
granny to
like,
get this.
I'm
God
like,
is good. I
what?
can't whip. Yeah, I get it.
No, yeah.
I get it.
I
But
mean, it's good that I like, and like I said, I only bring this up so that way I can understand better, right?
yeah, yeah,
'Cause like I said,
and,
I'm agnostic. I believe in a higher spirit, but then again, I don't believe in a traditional form of,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
would you say angels are from God? I guess it depends on where your roots go, because
yeah.
Christians and Muslims. Well, is it Jews and Muslims? They kind of like they fall really close. Like
Hmm.
some like the prophets in Christianity and in the Muslim faith are similar. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's kind of how it takes off. And then you have the Catholic faith. Catholics, we believe in Jesus, but Christians believe in Jesus. I don't know all the, but yeah, it's kind of like there's a God. So there's that higher power, and then I feel like you have the angels. They connect to it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, look.
To me, it's how do I explain this? Like, so that way, I don't want to say I'm trying to dumb it down or anything because
No, I'm
you're
trying to
very
understand
intelligent,
too. I'm not
but
intelligent. Dude, I'm high as a kite right now. I don't even know where I'm at. I'm serious. I could be held prisoner.
But I believe that people are connected with somebody that was either extremely close to them
Okay.
or extremely like a like somebody that is somewhat like them, and it's kind of like a like could be a mentor in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
Huh.
saying?
Now,
So
you
I just believe like it's somebody that's been in your family, whether that was a friend, a family member, or
is that
whatever it
called
is.
to like your heritage?
No, no, it's not. That's the thing. Like
Really?
when I first told my parents about it, they were kind of upset about it, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
like my son's a Satanist.
yeah, exactly. They're like, oh,
You
agnostic.
going to get
No,
what?
you,
So you
you want a Ouija board? What? No, but like I said, I was raised to be Catholic,
yeah.
and and but I went to Bible studies. I was baptized and everything, and I always questioned. Like and not necessarily like question it in a bad way, but I always questioned the Bible and stuff. 'Cause to me, it was just too inconsistent,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and maybe I just didn't understand it
Well,
enough.
they say like the fact that you question is not a horrible thing
Right.
because that means it's just your understanding isn't there. And then you obviously don't have a connection. So I can understand why like you may not have connected with it. So
Right.
like, but to question it is just means that you just either haven't figured it out or understand it. So like, I mean, things could change. Maybe they don't. Maybe you kind of fall where you fall, and that sort of thing. But I get it. I get a lot
Yeah.
of people feel that way. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people feel that until it's more personal to you, then you I guess you'll understand it. And in so many ways, like they say, God will show Himself to you in your
Mhm.
own personal way. You know.
Mhm.
So, but yeah. So no, like the reason why I asked you about like culturally because, and yeah, I'm basing it off a movie. In the movie Coco, like he had like the relatives and shit, and you know, like there's the other side, but they're connected through like people that they knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would. That's
Yeah.
why I was curious about that. Like, is it culturally? Because I'm not in my culture really. Like the whites have adapted to me. You know what I mean? Or I've adapted to them. Like I don't know like my cultural side as far as so my dad's from Peru, so like I don't know.
Right. Right. Right.
Do you have family in Mexico by
I
chance?
do. I do
Do?
have family in Mexico. Yeah.
So do you notice that are they so what's their faith like?
And
Or do
that's the
they
thing.
not
Like
have
I believe everybody's Catholic with at least Catholic or Christian.
yeah,
But I feel like Catholic and Christian kind of go hand in hand
yeah,
to a certain
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Um, but again, like
I get it.
I don't know.
I get it.
I went to Bible studies. The teacher hated me
Yeah. It's
because
because you keep
every verse hey,
you're like,
what?
okay, just read it. I don't even believe this shit, but they're paying me.
Right? Hey, when do we get the bread and wine again?
It's like here, motherfucker, shut the fuck up. Now you didn't get it from
But
me.
and that's what I'm saying. Like I just again my understanding, and maybe it's just like that teacher or the way I grew up, or you know what I'm saying. Like it's just it
Mm,
was too inconsistent for me, and that's why I ask you because you're a very spiritual man,
yeah.
and so I was just trying to understand like why people say God is good, and
Yeah.
whenever they did it themselves. But then I
Mhm.
guess you could say, yeah, I understand a little bit better because God does give you your talents, and then your talents reflect on
Wait,
the shit that you do.
here's an example. So, like, we're doing this, right? We're doing this
Right.
project. Now, hopefully, the goal is, or mainly you guys, like, we're, I know you guys kind of had to build this, whatever. But let's say, we start changing lives, people hear it and they understand certain, just a different view. And so, like, you start to scale. Okay. Now you're more well known. Now you're like more on like mainstream.
Hmm.
I would say, God is good because he brought us together in a way as like the way the banter is, the communication is. It's like it was a well match. You know what I mean? It could have been
Right.
anybody in this world that could have ended up in that situation, but in this situation, you're actually changing lives and you're making a difference. That's when I would say that. So,
Right. Okay. I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
I would love to know that, like I've changed somebody's life, um, just because of this podcast and stuff, right?
mhm, yeah,
Like, I would love to know. At least I changed one person's life, like each time we air.
mhm,
Like that will make me feel good because then I'm like, all right, so maybe this podcast is not for nothing,
yeah, yeah.
you know?
Now, here's my question to you. What advice would you give to somebody when it came to about like forgiving mistakes or like internally for the person who made them? Like
Hmm.
what would you say like to somebody?
You know,
Like
that's
if it was your son, imagine your son or something.
right.
And he's like, "Hey, this kind of happened. What should I do? Like should like what do you think would be the best outcome for that?"
You know that's a good question because obviously they make mistakes all the time, right? And
Yeah.
as fathers, because you're a father also, like we not necessarily see the future, but whenever they're running in the house or something, or they're
Mhm.
playing and they're like being really risky and stuff, you're telling them, hey, like careful, you're gonna get hurt,
Yeah.
and then they get hurt. So then like they never really made a mistake that I can like advise them on something, But if I was to advise them on something, like for them to move forward that altered somebody's or their lives, like, I,
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep it simple then. So like they let's say they constantly make mistakes in the house. Whatever it could be.
mhm.
And it's kind of eating them up inside and then you can see like it's starting to affect them.
Right.
Because it's like they think, "Oh, I'm gonna screw up now. Like I screw up everything."
Hmm.
Like would you be like, "Oh man, you gotta forgive yourself. You gotta forgive that man. That shit, you know,
Right. Yeah. And
you know."
I mean that's a good point because especially right now, I mean we've talked about it in previous an episode where uh, younger men, younger children now are going through a lot more mental disorders than we have,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
especially depression. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I always tell my kids, I was like, look, you're gonna make mistakes no matter what you do.
Mm,
I don't know, but it's up to you to find uh, that that inner being of yourself to make things right, to
yeah.
continue to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I've and that's the thing when it coming into this episode, I didn't even think about like my kids and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm glad you brought up because then now it gives it a bigger
Yeah.
perspective of like how things are,
Right.
right? Like, because it's no longer about you and I,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. I'm
like
gonna keep
this,
making my mistakes. And I'm just gonna say fuck it. But it's like would you
right?
no, be kind of different, you know. But no, for
And
real. For real.
that's a good like topic to bring up. Like, well, what could I possibly advise my kids, my daughter and my two boys, that hey, you're gonna make mistakes. Like lives may get altered if you do make those mistakes. And I guess like what could you possibly say to it
Hmm.
besides allowing them to make those mistakes? Or I guess not allowing them to make those mistakes, but to I don't know.
I think it goes back to like having fathers for one, and then
Hmm.
saying like, okay, what lessons are you supposed to learn, and then what kind of life do you want to live? but also understand that you're human, and also understand that you're not perfect. And
Right.
so, and forgiving, and like you said, the depression. I mean, that shit will make you be depressed as a motherfucker because that's all you know. And these young
Hmm.
kids, man, sometimes they don't want to tell us anything, and sometimes they like to harbor that in because it's natural. And then
Hmm.
it's if and that's another thing that we gotta always like make sure that our kids are like okay to talk to us, because if they don't, as they start to get in like up in age, they tend to not want to be to bother the parents because the parents are the disciplinarians. So it's like
Hmm.
they don't want to bring anything that may cause any extra attention sometimes. Like, they just trying to live too. So it's like, they got to be comfortable in talking to us, but at the same time, it's like, having them fall into that depression of feeling like they're failures or whatever, or
Right.
like it's a constant reminder. Um, but so yeah, I think we would say, you know, that sometimes you got to let things go, and sometimes you just got to own up that it happened. And
Hmm.
but the question is, do you want it to happen again? And are you comfortable with dealing with the same emotional feelings you're feeling right now? Or are you
Hmm.
comfortable with having to deal with another issue or like a disciplinarian to happen? Like, are you comfortable with that?
Right. Yeah.
First thing you need to be understand is that don't beat yourself up. I made mistakes, and I'm here to help you, and I'm here to help you go through whatever you're going through. And it,
Right.
but it takes a
But you
lot
can't
from us.
really say that. You can't really say that because every mistake that they're going to go through could be different from what you went through.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, especially like what if they get into a predicament of like, I don't know, like them like trying to protect themselves or their siblings, and it's gonna alter the other person that is affecting them.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like it's getting to that point where
oh,
like the United States is starting to become a free for all.
that is true.
So
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. Like
mm,
I don't want people to think that I don't have the right answers for my kids and shit like that.
hmm,
But then again, like I can't say I'll have the answers for them.
right. Yes, because I think their life is their own journey.
Right.
You just gotta support them. That's a tough situation too. Yeah,
Hmm.
that you just mentioned. If they had to ever had to defend, um, um,
Because I tell my kids all the time, you will protect one another, and no matter what, family comes first.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
I
don't think
always
that's
tell,
wrong.
and I always tell them, I always tell them, man, like, hey, I am the protector of this family. You do not have to worry about me.
Yeah,
Mommy is second in command, like she is the protector of you guys.
yeah,
She'll protect you guys. I will protect all of you.
yeah.
And then I tell Jaden, because he's the oldest, hey, you are the protector of your younger siblings,
Right.
and your brother is gonna back you up. And then so is Arya. She's gonna back you up. But it gets to a point where, like, like I said, this world is always gonna change.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so our mistakes are gonna always be different. And then that's why I asked you earlier, like, can you forgive those mistakes, especially from somebody that went to prison because they only have advice for that one path.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they don't have the answers for life. They've read up on like different books and stuff because they have the time and they may be more knowledgeable and they may have like facts on like how other people see the world, and then they come up with their own ideas. But is that really an answer? It's more of an opinion to me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all situational, I suppose. But as far as that, so you're saying like, it's for example, like if your son or children had to defend themselves, now that's a huge mistake because something had occurred from that.
Mhm.
And now it's like, I guess that's
Because then, like, now the law looks down upon them because of something
mm,
that's technically they're doing good for. You know what I'm saying?
what they've been
Whether
taught.
that was they were protecting one another or
Yeah.
whatever, or you know what I'm
Mm,
saying. So no matter what, there's going to be consequences.
yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, if we're talking about internally, I mean, yeah. I mean, I could see them forgiving themselves. The
right.
question is there's just a lot to go with that,
Mhm.
you know, as far as like whatever repercussions that come from it.
Mhm.
Um, and they may have guilt from a situation like that. They may, um, but at some point you would want them to move on. You kissing at me, bro?
No, it's my daughter. I think she's about to go to bed. So like I said, I'm still outside. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I see you. But yeah, I mean, I think you want them to move on.
right.
I mean, they're gonna have to. They're gonna have to, and they're gonna have to look at themselves as not as what like a violent person. They know that
Right.
it was taken out, and it's like they were forced to do that. It's like when people have to defend themselves. It's like I'm not a
Mhm.
killer, but like I'm gonna have to protect my family.
Right.
You know what I
But there's still
mean?
going to be consequences. And
Yeah,
now
yeah.
the law portrays you to be a monster.
Hmm. Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
that and I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, it's opening my eyes up because coming into this conversation, I didn't think about my kids.
Hmm. Yeah.
I didn't think about the younger generation of like what they're going through.
It's rough, but I think forgiving mistakes internally is growth,
Hmm.
in my
Yeah.
opinion. And it can be growth for the person who was wrong too, to
Hmm.
forgive them, or it could be a lesson. In
Yeah.
your situation, like if that person was an aggressor, and then your son had to take it, and it's like, yeah, something happened to me. It's like I kind of forgive him, and then it's like, okay, maybe I don't kind of conduct myself, or it's a vicious cycle. It's about the lesson that they learned from it,
Hmm.
like we talked about. This shit goes hand in
Yeah.
hand. So
It does. It
yeah,
does. It definitely does.
it's
So
a it's a it's a pretty hard
what
topic.
would you give your kids advice in?
Um, the main thing I would think about them is what they internally think about themselves, because I think that shit they can't escape. That shit
Hmm.
that when they go to bed, even though I kiss them goodnight and they're I'm with them, but when I'm not with them, even if I am with them, their thoughts about themselves is always going to be there. It's going to be the most impactful. It'll make it their days be good days. It'll make their days be bad days. So I would tell them to be like, that mistake. And I was a rough kid. I went through a lot of hardships as far as like how my behavior was.
Yeah.
So I would tell them that mistakes happen, but mistakes can be can be you can move past them, and they don't have to dictate they don't dictate because you can't change them.
Yeah.
So if you want a different outcome, you make a different outcome, but you can't make a different outcome if you don't, you know, hope that there's going to be better. And that's even in yourself, even if you obviously you made the mistake. So like, that I'm going to be different. But I
Hmm.
would always tell them to start there first, start internally first.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah. No, that's good advice.
yeah,
I think what
yeah.
I'm gonna tell them is that I got a video for that. Just go back and watch it.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, make them subscribe too.
Yeah,
Put
exactly.
your credit card down first.
If they're
I
not watching right now, they're grounded.
that's right. Yep. Heck yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah. A good conversation. I think it was a
It
good
it was
topic.
a good
It was a very
conversation.
hard topic. It was kind of hard to kind of like maneuver through things because it's so conflicting. There's always a caveat to everything,
Yeah,
and that's what makes it difficult.
yeah,
And people, I think people can see all sides to it, and um, yeah. So
it is. Yeah, I think it was a very difficult thing to maneuver. I thought it was gonna be a lot easier, but then again, like it's just like actually thinking about different situations that may occur and stuff.
mm,
You can't prepare for it.
yeah,
It's basically what I'm saying. You just can't prepare for anything that life throws at you, and you basically just gotta take it and either forgive yourself and.
you think here's and then I'll this is the last thing I'll say about it. But here's like a big example. So like Oprah, she's rich as shit. She's a billionaire,
Mhm,
right? She had a
mhm,
rough childhood. I think she was even like sexually like abused and stuff. And
mhm,
I think she had this whole story where like she had to kind of go through this acceptance and like forgiveness because especially when it comes to like sexual assault, like there's that self blame and like there had to been like a level of growth for her to like scale. And I think she kind of goes into great detail about like the challenges she had, but like even did she? I wonder if she had to forgive those people that did her wrong, at a certain level, at a certain point, for her to like be able to really focus on what she wanted to do, which made her now very successful. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So
Hmm.
how deep can it impact you? And
Right.
so yeah,
That's yeah. I'll give her a call after we get off.
you got a number? Come on, man. She's rich, man. It's that like that Dave Chappelle bit.
Yeah, I'll give her a call. Don't worry about it. I'll give you an answer later.
All right. As if she's single, she's not. I already checked.
Oh, you already checked? Her Facebook status hasn't changed?
Nah, heck nah. So
But
yeah,
yeah, no, it was a good conversation.
it's
Definitely like
good.
something that we have to continuously think about and stuff like that, especially if we're gonna grow.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I mean, but to recap everything that we fucking talked about and stuff, like how do you feel like that will go about? Like just generally, like you do you feel like you've learned something from this conversation?
yeah. I think just analyzing things as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
some things you don't think about, and some things you like, even though you may feel like you sit one way with it, then you see a different view, and it's like, man, that's now harder, and not
Mm-hmm.
all situations may be equal. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and so yeah, I mean, anybody when you have a group of people with different ideas, it forces you to look outside yourself. And
Yeah.
like luckily for us, I mean, I think that we're pretty open, and I think that's why I think people should stay open and not be so, at least just be able to hear, because I think when you're so hardened in one way, sometimes you can't really see the big picture. It's like, what is that saying? Like, if you're looking at a picture and you're right up to it, you can only see what your eyes see. So you step back, and I was like, wow, that's actually beautiful. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of like that. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, definitely. No, definitely, definitely. I mean, there's not really much else to talk about it
yeah,
here, so we'll go ahead and close it out.
all right,
Thank you
man.
for joining us in Legacy of Ours.
Yeah,
Hopefully, you actually get something out of it.
thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Always,
Yeah,
always.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm back in St. Louis, so obviously you're gonna see a lot more of me.
yep,
So, but
yep,
yeah, to the viewers, thank you for joining us and going through our little banters.
yep.
So, and I know we like to actually talk a lot, and if you guys actually do have advice on what you would say to a younger generation or even your children, leave it in the comments and stuff, and that way we can go back, read it, and we'll continue the conversation. So again, thank you, and good night.
Thank you, guys.